Denver drops curfew charges against hundreds of protesters hauled off the streets. Aurora's independent investigation of a death involving police was not so independent. And we head to the Western Slope, where the conversation about race is being led by a football coach.
I don't have any football head coaching experience, but as of yet, but I've got 36 years of being black.
It's back. Music filling the lobby of the Brown Palace. We check back in with the band that made an emotional exit, promising to return when it was safe. And a political gamble on vaccines in Colorado. I'll explain why I think this could tell us a lot. Next. The city of Aurora is suddenly realizing 4 months into its independent investigation of a death involving police that their investigator is not independent. The city just announced that it's had this ongoing investigation into the death of Elijah McClain running since February, very quietly. The issue, though, is the man hired to do it. Here's the backstory. McClain died after a struggle with Aurora police officers last year. He went into cardiac arrest after he was put in what's called a carotid hold. The officers were cleared of wrongdoing. They were not criminally charged. This week, Aurora City Council members began calling for an independent investigation. The Attorney General originally hired for the review picked a guy named Eric Daigle, an ex-police officer. His website brags that he has defended several municipalities, police chiefs, and officers from liability claims. So the city is terminating the contract with Mr. Daigle, and City Council will look for a new, more independent investigator. Elijah McClain's mom, Shaneen, came down to the Capitol today to testify before a House committee. They're debating the police accountability bill, the one that almost unanimously passed the Senate yesterday. McClain had this warning for state legislators.
If y'all don't do better, then it's going to get worse. And it's not going to stop at black people. It's not going to stop at colored people. It's going to go all the way around.
This bill would end the qualified immunity defense that generally protects law enforcement officers from being sued personally for excessive use of force. The bill also would ban the use of chokeholds statewide, and it would require every officer in Colorado to have and to turn on a body camera by 2023. So Denver's not going to prosecute the people who were out just breaking curfew during the recent protests. City Attorney's Office said late today that it is going to dismiss more than 300 curfew violations. Now, the people who are charged with other crimes, in addition to breaking curfew, they will still be prosecuted. America is having a debate about whether the losers of the Civil War deserve the consolation prize of having American military bases named after them. President Trump said today that we will be keeping the Confederate names. A veteran in Colorado's congressional delegation disagrees. Democratic Congressman Jason Crow of Aurora is joining the growing chorus of people calling on the government to rename military bases named after Confederate generals. The Army said it was open to a conversation about this. Crow says that the men who fought under the Confederate flag were not American patriots, and it is past time to end their honors from the U.S. military. Colorado's conversation about race and policing has been heavily focused on the Denver metro area. We, as in we the media, need to be listening to more voices from other parts of the state on this, like in Grand Junction, where a new football coach is not shy about being heard. Here's Anusha Roy.
Football is intricately weaved into Coach Tremaine Jackson's life. Nearly 6 months ago, he started as a head coach at Colorado Mesa University in Grand Junction.
I was worried more about practices and getting the team gel together and hiring a staff.
Then 8 minutes and 46 seconds changed his role.
I actually saw George Floyd play high school football. Being from Houston, evident that I was the one in our community that looked like me. Obviously, that could help change some things that was happening.
Especially since Coach Jackson made history in the football program.
I'm the only African-American football coach at Grand Junction that's been in the head coaching role, I believe, in the history of the school.
He showed up for a protest that ended up in the Grand Junction Police Department. It got heated, some people walked away, but Coach Jackson encouraged his players to stay and talk.
We have a chief of police, Chief Shoemaker, he's willing to listen. He didn't bring out riot gear and things of that nature. He genuinely wanted to have a conversation. Ended with a handshake between one of my players and the chief of police. I think that's what America needed to see. They needed to see that we can end things in a solution and get action items moving forward.
That also means including everyone.
The small towns, they do not get the recognition that Denver gets. So everybody becomes comfortable being comfortable. And in order to address a racism issue, everybody has to become uncomfortable.
Coach Jackson says that's what's starting to happen in his community.
I just happen to be the head coach in football and in addressing racism because I don't have any football head coaching experience, but as of yet, but I've got 36 years of being black. And so I know that one more than I know football.
The coach said that he knows football can bring people together, so he really wanted to use that platform. And one of the things that's being worked on right now is a scholarship so more minority students can go through the police academy. They also want to work on curriculum when it comes to learning more about race relations as well as bias. Kyle.
I'm curious, Anusha, what the police chief made of the interaction.
You know, honestly, he described it pretty much the same way, saying at the end of the day, it was a really productive conversation. And he also made a point to say that it wasn't the first or the last. They are still talking. He's talking with the coach, the university, and the community. So they're trying to keep that dialogue going in Grand Junction.
Good on both of them. Difficult to have a conversation through riot gear. Anusha, great story. Thank you. The field hospital that was built inside the Colorado Convention Center was supposed to be our state's backup plan if COVID-19 cases overwhelmed the system. They did not. So that field hospital sits there, empty and expensive, and getting more expensive every day. Not one coronavirus patient has been treated there, so there are just 250 empty beds. The state's holding on to it in the case of a second wave of the virus in late summer or fall, if that exceeds hospital capacity. That is costing the state $60,000 a day. The lease runs through the end of the year. So in leasing cost alone, the Convention Center Field Hospital will cost $12 million. A week ago, we started a new project here on Next, what we hope is going to become a regular weekly group project of sorts. Me and you, together, helping a smaller nonprofit that is making a significant impact in Colorado. So I asked you if you would be willing to kick in $5 to clean up Civic Center Park, Denver's historic home of celebrations and protests recently. You raised $90,000 and covered the cost of cleaning up Civic Center Park. So, this week, if you have an extra $5, I have an idea. We are calling this a word of thanks. And the word that comes to mind when I think of the Crowley Foundation is potential. The Crowley Foundation sees the potential in young black men in our community, and they come alongside them and their families to make sure that they reach that potential, that they can become future leaders in our community. For more than a decade, the Crowley Foundation has been mentoring young men into strong community leaders, into kings, as they like to say. Social guidance, emotional support, leadership training, one-on-one mentoring. Their participants graduate high school, they go on to college, and then they cycle back to mentor the next generation. They're proving to young black men that people in our community believe in them and know that they can succeed. So here's the deal. There are enough people watching Next right now that if just 1 in 5 of you gave $5, that would allow them to greatly expand their program to include more young men. There's a link to donate on the Next Facebook page on 9news.com, and we can just text you the link right to your phone if you want to text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491. Thanks to 303-871-1491. And since it's super annoying when somebody on TV just asks you to give your money, this is the deal. If you're in for $5 and you're in for $5 and you're good for $5, well, then I will match the first 50 Next viewers who give. Let's show these young men that Colorado believes in them and wants them to be leaders in our community. We can do it right here tonight. They're here and they're clear. They don't want to have to vaccinate their children. As anti-vaxxers gain influence with Colorado Republicans, we look at whether they could win a statewide vote on vaccines. The band is back together.
The last time we played together, we were out on the street.
Music returns to one of the special spaces in all of Colorado. We'll listen in next. It appears that your overwhelming generosity almost immediately crashed the Crowley Foundation's donation page. One, thank you. Two, please keep trying. We are going to support this group in a big way tonight. So just maybe not everybody all at once. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Andrew Romanoff claims that insurance companies can buy Congress. He can buy a political ad, making that claim as he runs for the Senate. And our Marshall Zellinger, well, he can put it to the truth test.
I know what it's like to lose someone you love. That's why I led the fight for mental health care.
This is true. For 4 years, Andrew Romanoff was president and CEO of Mental Health Colorado, a job he took after his cousin died by suicide.
If you have enough money, you can buy the best care in the world. If you're an insurance company, you can even buy Congress.
It's a stretch to say insurance companies buy Congress, and Romanoff's ad does not provide any proof. So let's go to Open Secrets, which is run by the Center for Responsive Politics. The website tracks political contributions, compiles the data, and breaks it down conveniently by industry, like insurance companies. Between 1998 and this year, insurance companies have contributed almost $3 billion to congressional political campaigns, an industry second only to drug companies. This insurance category includes more than just health insurance. It also adds in life, property, and car insurance lobbying. Who insurance companies give to is fairly even. In this current election cycle, Republican candidates have received 53% of the insurance industry contributions, Democrats 44%. The top 5 contributors are Blue Cross Blue Shield, New York Life, Council of Insurance Agents, Aflac, and USAA. Of all senators receiving contributions from the insurance industry this election cycle, Colorado Republican Senator Cory Gardner ranks 16th with 163,000. You should also know most of these top 20 senators are running for re-election this year. Democratic Senator Michael Bennet is 52nd. And since it's a re-election year, I went back to 2014, and then Democratic Senator Mark Udall was 25th in insurance contributions. Kyle, I checked Andrew Romanoff's individual contributions. He's received 2 from an individual who works as a life insurance agent.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so slightly different, and maybe that'll show up in a future ad claim, and you can check that. All right. Thank you, Marshall. Republicans in the state legislature are backing off of their pledge to anti-vaxxers that they would slow Capitol business to a crawl in order to stop a bill that tightens vaccine exemptions. It's a bill that requires parents to jump through more hoops if they want to avoid vaccinating their kids. That bill's moving from the House to the Senate right now. Republicans gave up on their stall tactics after Democrats agreed that they would put a petition clause in the bill. That means that if it passes, and it likely will, opponents can then gather signatures to put a repeal on the ballot in 2020. Let everybody vote. I think this is an interesting political move because we have talked here on this program about how anti-vaxxers are an increasingly prominent force in Colorado's conservative movement, and especially with the Republican minority of legislators at the Capitol. Yet polling shows that Coloradans are generally widely supportive of vaccinations. Putting vaccines on the ballot could give us the truest test yet of the strength of the anti-vaccine views in Colorado. Reunited, and it feels so good.
It's just such a joyous reunion. I mean, it really is. Of course, none of us can hug each other. We're just like,
Strike up the band, but don't get too close. We'll take you back to the Brown Palace, which sounded so strangely silent without them. Next. Folks at the Crowley Foundation tell me they are working on fixing their donation website. Your generosity literally overwhelmed them tonight. They're thankful. Please keep trying. We'll let you know when it's working again here. So nearly 3 months ago, the Brown Palace went silent. COVID-19 pandemic shut down that historic hotel in Denver. Now, music fills that space once more. Katie Eastman and our photojournalist Mike Grady take us inside Denver's oldest hotel as it reopens today.
Listen to the first day back at the Brown Palace.
In many regards, it's surreal. It's sort of dreamlike.
Hear a familiar sound.
nice to see you, Elise.
The hotel's quartet is back together. Back to a room that takes people back in time.
2 world wars, the Spanish flu, the Great Depression. This virus was just so severe.
The last first day at the Brown Palace was 128 years ago.
This is the first time in the history of the hotel that we had to close our doors.
It was the first time in 33 years John Kite couldn't work as the Brown Palace pianist. His rhythm of tradition interrupted for 3 months.
This day is the day that we've all been talking about and looking forward to. And it's been empty and silent, and it hasn't felt right, but it feels right now.
I'm just so grateful that we're back.
As the historic hotel goes back to their traditions, they can't ignore a world that has changed. Smashed windows are a reminder of the fight for equality. Unseen smiles signal a virus that lingers.
This is driving me nuts. Okay, hold on.
Coming back won't mean forgetting what changed.
Of course, none of us can hug each other. We're just like, ah. We are growing so much out of the lessons that we are learning through these things.
A second first day gives John a chance to remember everything he missed.
It's the joy of my life. Truly, it is.
For next.
That's how we end that one. Every time.
I'm Katie Eastman.
I love the Brown Palace masks. Those are great. Summer biking season meets Old Man Winter in just a couple of hours in Colorado. It is the most Colorado thing we saw today. That and your feedback next. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a wish granted. So Amy was up biking with a friend around Bracken Copper Monday. Super sunny, but Amy told us she was secretly wishing for winter because Amy says she doesn't do hot. Well, then Tuesday happened, and it was a good day for Amy. Snow in Breckenridge, and showing that Colorado allows you to play any day. Send us the most Colorado thing you've seen. Next at 9news.com is the email or hashtag HeyNext. And feedback tonight, Nikki writes, would it be a copyright infringement to make a full-body cardboard cutout of you for my boss's office? I don't think it's a copyright issue. It's a little creepy, but no, maybe just like a waist. Could we do a waist up? Could we agree on a waist up? Waist up is where we're going to go. Hey, some folks are getting through to donate to the Crowley Foundation, our Word of Thanks micro-giving project here today. I've heard from Angie, Teresa, Kevin, Carolyn, Deborah, Megan, Meredith, Travis, who all said they got through. I've been refreshing. We did crash their donate page. They're working on it. Please keep trying to give. This organization changes the lives of young black men in our community, provides them with mentoring and leadership so that they can return to mentor the next generation of leaders in Denver. I ask you to join me. Just kick in $5. I will match the first 50 next viewers' donations, and we will again make a big difference for a small nonprofit that is having a huge impact. I'll see you next time.